Well. When you see me, just know there's more shit to talk about. Well, this is so juicy, you don't even need to stir it. So, of course, this is like one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story right now, which is Sam Bankman-Fried and his FTX corruption scandal due to his cryptocurrency misappropriation. Now, so Sam Bankman-Fried, a 30-year-old soy boy weirdo who gives off serial killer vibes. Anyways, he's the founder of FTX, the business that is no more now, or lack thereof. I would never consider it a business to begin with. But anyways, he was also co-founder of Alameda Research, which is no longer a thing anymore, which was a crypto hedge fund. He controlled that as well. Now, when it comes to his personal crypto, that was the FTX token. Okay, so the FTX token, also known as FTT, is a Ponzi scheme. He used them to borrow billions of real dollars that he couldn't pay back. And this guy was, literally criminal from the start, if we don't already understand that. He built an empire, literally built an empire, buying dying companies like Voyager, BlockFi. FTX sold people crypto like Bitcoin, or so they thought, and people were really just buying an IOU. So as long as everyone didn't cash in their IOU at the same time, this scheme would work. So he found a way basically to utilize this system he created, or once again, lack thereof, because it was just a non-existent business. Moving on, once again, FTX violated its own terms of service and misused user funds. So he misappropriated $4 billion. $4 billion trying to save his failing hedge fund. So he used $21 million on Super Bowl commercials. $5 million is what he gave to Joe Biden. And $40 million to campaign donations for Democrats. And there's a money trail to all this, by the way. So it's not like we're just coming up with these numbers willy-nilly just because we feel like throwing numbers out there. No. There's proof and there's evidence. So at some point, you're probably not going to be able to talk about this at all. This is so dangerous because of what it leads to. And it leads to so much. He stole billions of dollars, which was a crime. Bribed politicians, which also was a crime. And that was just to create a crypto monopoly for himself, basically. FTX was founded in 2019, which, was only a couple of years ago. And this was where people can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of these other cryptocurrencies. Now, he left Alameda Research $10 billion in customer funds. And after the midterms, customer withdrawals triggered a liquidity crisis, which led to the company publicly admitting that they didn't have the funds to pay out. So he had to admit, because it was a scheme all along, not a business. And that's important to note. So he filed for bankruptcy, and the company now owes $8 billion that it can't pay. It just gets juicier and juicier, doesn't it, guys? But there's a couple of little highlights here. Because, there's always a
conspiracy theory
that is involved in all of these schemes and scams and corruption that these politicians and Democrats are all involved in. FTX was featured on the World Economic Forum, its website, and then they suddenly deleted their whole affiliation with FTX. Well, why is that? Well, because the World Economic Forum doesn't want to be linked to any type of conspiracy theories. Well, not a theory, it's a fact, but it is the conspiracy in itself. Everything the Economic Forum stands for is why we see so many of the issues that we have today, because of what their agenda is to begin with. So FTX and this scandal, linking back to them, is not good for publicity for the World Economic Forum. But nonetheless, you can't hide the truth. It always comes out. So Mitch McConnell, the rhinoceros that he is, he received $2.5 million from FTX. Isn't that wonderful? That's beautiful, right? I wish I could receive money like that. A lot of people can be bought with money. So he is a piece of shit. Now, when you do a little bit of background research on this Sam Bankman-Fried, you find out he's pretty much pro-globalism. He is pro-climate change, pro-lockdown, pro-Democrat, and every single agenda that they put forward, which is why he's the second leading donor to the Democrat Party and their campaigns. Then this is when the Ukraine comes in. Basically, FTX ends up partnering with the Ukrainian government and becomes a cash cow for them to utilize. We see they start to funnel funds right back. Now, the Ukrainian government, being as corrupt as they are, they come out and they say that, we didn't partner with them. This is misinformation. But we all know that misinformation is the real information that they don't want you to know. So they cut ties with FTX due to the publicity and the negative and bad publicity this will give them and the Ukrainian government, showing how corrupt that they are and where your money goes. So they end up losing all of these people's money. FTX, that is, because these people who had their money involved in this company, we're not going to really, it's not a company, but the people who had their money involved in this, they were not allowed to get it out. It's just gone. It's missing. It doesn't exist. Basically, it's possibly the biggest scam in American history. And you want to know who's always behind the scams, schemes, and corruption? It's always Democrats. It's always. And of course, you know, there's the other side too that has some fishy characters in it. But the point of the matter being, this guy is a straight liberal. He's a straight Democrat. This is where your money gets taken. This is how your money gets taken, and then this is what ends up happening with it. This is what ends up happening with it. So there's so much involved in this story, though. There's so much involved, and there's every day there's more stuff coming out, and it's going to continue to come out. And I may continue to cover this story. We'll see what happens, but I just want to get some of the basics out there for people who may not know too much about it or crypto. I mean, me personally, I am not involved in crypto, and it's because of a lot of things like this. This is incredibly shady. Just to go over some extra information here, a couple of internet sleuths came across some things that were pretty interesting regarding the symbology around Sam Bankman-Fried and his Alameda Research, lack thereof, business/company that no longer exists. The logo that was used is very, very similar to the boy lover symbol that we've seen quite a few times already. And in his default picture on Twitter, he's wearing a shirt with a symbol on there that looks very, very, very similar to the girl lover. And so there has been some rumblings about FTX and its potential involvement in child movement, you know, from here to there, and the funding of it. So this story pretty much goes deep, and the information is pretty wild, and day by day there's always new stuff coming out. So this is just some of the basic stuff to get you, I guess, caught up a little bit, but there's so much involved in all of this that we probably won't know the full story for a little while. So just thought I'd bring it to some of you guys' attention, since it is being talked about very broadly right now. And this is kind of my take on it and the information I gathered so far. And it just seems as if you just can't escape the corruption. But we already know the mainstream media is not going to want to talk about any of this anytime soon. They're going to just kind of sweep it under the rug. And this is just another story that is not going to be covered by the mainstream media.